What is your favorite anime?
Mine's Skrillex.
Skrillex.
I'm so distanced from human sensibilities and stuff.
Was getting caught part of your plan?
もちろんだ。
Put your tray tables up and your seat in the full upright position, because this is the Flight Plan, the official podcast of Big Guy For You Scanlations, Japan's #1 Bane-posting manga scanlation podcast. Join the flight crew, Tom and Aiden, as we bant about all the anime, the manga, and the scanlation content. Today we're talking about typesetting and all the interesting, fun stuff that goes into that. It's much more interesting than it sounds, so don't turn that dial.
Hey man, what's this all about? You're cucking me here. You're supposed to say, hey Tom, what are we talking about today? And then I do the intro, the topic.
I know, I just got so into it. I'm so excited about typesetting that it's just bursting forth.
All right then, as punishment, I'm going to cuck you because I'm introducing a new segment here called Correction Corner. And this isn't to correct you, even though it sounds like it should be.
We joked about this last episode that it'll be a recurring thing. Are you going to correct something in previous episode?
It's kind of, yeah. It's going to be like an episode, what are we on, 4 now? It's an episode 3.5 correction. I'm going to correct the record here, set it straight.
Excellent.
Hashtag CTR. It's a confession. I have to admit this, get this off my chest, because I'm so principled. This has been eating away at me ever since last Sunday.
The AIDS virus, right?
I meant metaphorically eating away at me, not physically. Different issues here. Don't worry about that, though. On the last chapter I uploaded, I left a panel blank, and it's forever haunted me.
Oh.
So I'm going to have to go commit Sudoku.
Exactly. You got to get all your guts to line up to hit the number 10.
Yeah. And it's kind of applicable to the last episode as well, because this was actually a type of panel that I forgot to mention if you should clean it or not. You remember that list we had?
Mm-hmm.
So this one is single characters, question marks, exclamation marks, that kind of thing.
Wait, like, is that like sound effects in the background, or like...
No. It's like somebody's speech bubble, but it just has, like, say, a question mark, for example.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to clean those. That's already there.
But since I'm so principled, I like to do that, and then I like to replace it with the same font, which will go into this episode.
All right.
So we'll pivot in a second. But this time, because the speech bubble is kind of like in the middle of like a character, so like turning on and off my like filter or my layers to see what I missed, I somehow missed that in my quality check, and I saw it right when I uploaded it, and it was too late at that point. So I just need to get that off my chest, man.
It's been
digging away at my conscience.
You know, you can do version 2s of upload. I don't know how that works with the RSS feeds, but I see that all the time where somebody will release a version 2 of the same chapter. I don't actually...
It wasn't... I was just going to say, it wasn't important enough for me to look into how to do that. But I am vaguely aware of that as a concept.
In the most part, I feel like it's detrimental, because I'll go through a manga. I was just reading something the other day. There were 2 versions of every single chapter. So you'd hit next chapter, and it'd be the same chapter version 0.5 or something. It's like, just stop it. It's not worth whatever you change. It's not worth the one word you changed.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Unless it's something like Duang quality versus of normal scan quality.
Yeah. Well, in that case, if it's something like Duang, I am honestly all for having Duang be a separate manga, like a completely different section where it's like you can switch into maximum overdrive and read in Duang. I mean, Duang is honestly how it's supposed to, the original experience of JoJo.
I can confirm that, because when I read JoJo, this was back in high school, before I even studied any Japanese. I stopped reading JoJo when I got to Duang because it was too hardcore for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then later, when I was studying Japanese, I read JoJo as practice, and that's when I actually first read Part 4, and it's basically Duang.
It is.
And
the author of JoJo has actually said that he wishes he could write it as well as Duang. And Duang has been the only translator that has really captured the essence of what he was trying to convey in the original Japanese.
in the original Chinese. Because he used, Chinese.
He used the Chinese scans. Yeah, that's why it's like, I got the Chinese. Yeah.
Which I had to look up. I was like, I've never seen that one before.
Yeah, I knew that one, but not at the time. Not when I first read it. I actually read it several years before you did.
What?
You weren't big into manga yet. Well, you never got into manga, but
I'm still not into manga.
I read it like because back in it was like 2008 is when I first started because I remember because Burning Crusade, the World of Warcraft expansion had just come out, and that's when I first made little paper flashcards to learn hiragana. I was like, I'm gonna be a little Japanese boy, and
I started reading JoJo because of Jump. It was Superstars or Ultimate Stars, one of the DS
right.
Smash Bros. Like games.
Those were great.
Those are good. Those are really good.
Yeah, they need to bring them over to English, although they never ever will ever.
I think there was a fan translation patch.
Ooh, that's cool. But well, now since all the 3DSs and things are hacked, yeah, that's possible. But back then, that was not a thing. Speaking
Well, it
of,
kind of was. just not like this.
and we didn't know about. I didn't certainly know about it.
Yeah.
At the time.
I think it took years.
I mean, that just goes to show. It's like there's so many good things that aren't translated over to English. Like I was just looking the other day, and I'll go and think about this every couple months. Metabots is an awesome franchise that is not translated in the West anymore.
Right.
And they have such cool games. They're still making Metabots games for 3DS, and I really want to play some of them. They're like it's like a custom Robo because we never got a custom Robo 2. Japan did. There's a 3DS game for custom Robo.
Well, we got little battlers,
but it's,
right?
So I've played it. I've put a couple hours.
I played the PSP game for like an hour maybe, and I was like, nah.
See, the
not for me.
problem is, and Custom Robo had this too. This nostalgic goggles. There's too much story. There's too much narration, and it's like I want to play the actual game, and you're not letting me do that. Like I tried to play it long enough that I could get to a point where I could just grind and like experience the actual game and like get off the rails, but it didn't happen after like my 4 hours of playing. And that's the same with the Inazuma series, the soccer game.
You know why? Those are both level 5 games, and from my experience, there's a lot of story in those. They're like half anime, half game.
That's exactly what it is, and that's not what I want. I mean, that's my mistake for not understanding what the product, it's like, I'm like, oh, I'd really like, because Inazuma has a crazy story, and it's like cool, and it's like somebody compared it like Gurren Lagann, and it like goes off the rails, and it's like over, not like galaxy level, but it like goes into like.
Do they have time travel?
Well, you know how it's like Beyblades have constructed the pyramids. It's like that type of stuff.
In every great event in history, Bays have been there.
Yeah, it
shows like the Red Sea parting.
Yeah. Which is like the dumbest.
Beyblade's so cool, dude. How can you not think that?
Yeah, that's Beyblade. Dude,
let it rip.
YouTube recommended me the other day. This was probably like a month ago now. It was a Beyblade channel. People are still like it's current Beyblade channel.
You must have sent that to me because I saw one recently too.
Yeah, and there's still people. They're still making Beyblades. Two, there's still people doing YouTube videos, and this was not a small channel. This guy had like 500,000 subs or something. It was a big deal. This was his full-time job, was playing Beyblades. It's like, oh my god, what is this world?
There's like no skill involved, right? Like there can't be. Maybe like your initial angle of launching.
Yeah,
but
initial angle, like drop area, and then like construction of your Beyblades. But it's like whatever your heaviest Beyblade is gonna win.
Yeah, those like Chinese metal parts that are like
illegal
banned,
parts. Yeah,
made out of like straight lead, 100%.
Basically, it was lead painted gold. It really was. Like that probably is why we like anime so much, because it destroyed our brain.
Yeah, because we played with those as
kids.
children.
Yeah, put them in our mouths and stuff. But
I don't remember that, but maybe that's why I'm less autistic than
you probably don't remember it because it just eroded the brain cells.
Yep. Maybe that's why I have no memory. What were we talking about today?
I think Digimon.
Oh yeah, but it was the types of Digimon, right? Something about typing.
Typesetting. Of EXEs. You had .exes and .bats.
Oh, I was trying to segue in, but now we're back to Digimon.
I know, but I had an EXE joke in there. I wanted to put it in.
So you got virus type. You've got, I don't know the other two. There are 3 types of Digimon. I know this.
Wait, there's the kind that merge with you. Your Fursona type.
No. I mean like actual canonical types. There's like virus.
Fursona's a canonical type.
Something.
Digimon Tamers is canon, isn't it?
I reject it.
I don't know.
I reject that part of it. The rest was cool.
They had the coolest opening though. It had the best song.
No, that was part 4.
Which one was Butterfly?
Digimon,
that was like one of the first ones.
With us, let your spirit evolve.
Yeah, that's
that
Digimon
one?
Tamers.
That's part 4. That's where they are the Digimon part 4. I never watched
Digimon
it.
Tamers?
No, Tamers was 3 with the swiping cards where they fused and they were naked inside their Digimon.
That's the same one, isn't it?
No, because in 4 was when they were the Digimon.
Oh God, I can't. I need to brush up on my Digimon lore.
You don't
I'm really
need to.
slacking.
You don't need to. I
Hey.
know too much, and my life is cursed for it.
There's a limited amount of time you can spend on this earth, and a limited amount of brain cells and memory and things you can hold in your mind at once. It's kind of like a Dunbar's number. Like you can only know about 150 people well. Well, you can only hold so much in your head, and it's important that we fill a certain percent of it with Digimon trivia. It's part of what it means to be a man.
That's true. I was hoping in there you would somehow segue into typesetting. We should probably get to it.
I've removed all of my typesetting, my keynotes to replace it with Digimon trivia.
I've scratched out all of the show notes that I've written down, my prep, and then I just wrote Digimon? Question mark.
Question mark, yeah.
I made one of those, like, who is Pepe Sylvia, like, corkboard, like,
It's Pennsylvania. I never understood that. Somebody had to tell me that. That's what he was reading.
Oh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense. That's beautiful. Can he not read? Can Charlie not read?
No, canonically he
okay.
cannot read or write. You've seen his hieroglyphics, right, where he writes his songs in?
No, I don't
Oh,
remember.
so it's like he had lyrics for the Nightman song, and he gave it to Mac, and he's like, okay, sing these lyrics. And it's like, what is this? It's like, those are lyrics. It's like the Nightman. He's like, what, dude? You have autism. Like, it's looking like this. And I was hoping you would remember that, because then even deeper lore is his mom understands his characters and writes notes to him in that.
That's
so, like,
funny.
she's enabling his hieroglyphics of, like,
Yeah.
a sad eye crying. It's like the Nightman. You know, he comes at night and then comes inside me. He's like, what? Like, Charlie, what? Like, what are you? He's talking about on a metaphysical level, and the lyrics
Right.
are sounding like he's getting butt raped. So.
Yeah, well, he's a man ahead of his time.
Well, you know what else is ahead of the time? Typesetting.
It is. Go to your first topic. I can't segue into any of mine.
Oh,
What's the most
jeez.
important thing when you're typesetting?
I think, personally, other than the fact of, like, making sure it all looks kind of nice, like, I think we can get it right out of the way and say, like, look, you want to center the text in the bubbles. You don't want to put it
Yes.
in, like, an MS Paint, like, big old square. You know what I mean? Where people will just literally take, like, MS Paint has an option where you can do a transparent background for text, but I see people do it with a white background, so it's just a big square overlapping
Hold on.
a bubble.
Nobody does MS Paint, dude.
I've seen it, and it's awful. And it's like way worse than Dwayne. Like, Dwayne put his heart and soul in it. Like, this is like garbage.
No,
like,
he
and it's
didn't.
still. I don't know if they're troll scans that when people translate something like this, but yeah, I've seen it where it's just it's off center, and the background of the text is white and eclipses, like, the background of the speech bubble. It, like, cuts through it. It's awful. Maybe I'll find
You don't
something to
mean
put in the show notes.
you don't mean outlining the letters. You mean like
No.
a square rectangle, kind of white, and then just the black text on it.
Yes, you know when you go into MS Paint and you type something, it'll go a white background.
Honestly, I'm not familiar. I don't type in MS Paint.
It will unless you set it to transparent,
Wow.
which is, I think, now the default, but it wasn't always, and it's like, it drives me
Right.
crazy. I think we can all move past that plebe level argumentation of that. We all understand, like, that's awful. Like, you want to make it visually appealing. I think one of the biggest things that so many people don't take into consideration is the font choice. I think that's realistically probably the most important thing you can do when you're typesetting.
That's pretty big.
It affects all of it. Do you have a particular, like, go-to font that you use?
Yeah, if you give me half a second, since I have some open right now. So currently I'm using, I only use free fonts, by the way, because again, I'm principled. I don't want to pirate a font. The one I use for Hyaku no Shirushi is Buxton Sketch, Buxton Sketch. And that's kind of hand writing looking kind of font. It's kind of nice. I don't really recommend it overall. My biggest complaint is that the spacing in between lines is really big. Like, there's a lot of spacing.
Now, I know in
And-
Photoshop you can change that. Is that not
Yeah,
something you can do in GIMP?
not that
Or
I've seen.
.net?
Paint.net, yeah, not that I've seen. My main go-to now, though, font that I use, I don't know how to even say this, Supplementary Comic NC. So it's like
so
suplex,
yeah.
and it's like suplex mentary, like mentary comic NC as in North Carolina, and that's a very
it
comic
stands
book looking font.
No copyright.
Probably because it was free, but that's a very standard comic booky font. I don't actually know what other people use, but I assume it's just some kind of comic book kind of font.
Now you're touched on some dangerous words there, and we're gonna get into the meme now. I think it's unavoidable to talk about typesetting and fonts without talking about the elephant in the room, Comic Sans.
Nobody uses that. That's a meme.
People use it for all
Where do you
types
read
of
these
things.
weird scans, dude? Where do you
I've
find
been
these?
reading manga for, oh my god, it really has been over a decade now. This is awful.
Yeah, it has. Yes, it has.
I've seen it, and it's not so bad these days, but especially with like fan translations, people who don't understand computers and font choices, it's a very common go-to with boomers in particular. You know, people our age. It's like it's a boomer font because they think it's like fun and lively. It's like, oh look, I'll be a little individual, and I don't want to do Times New Roman font. I'm gonna make it When you have the default font choices, it's either that or what's that one that like Papyrus or something where it's like Papyrus, yeah.
Yeah,
that
like those are the only
awful.
two that don't look like Times New Roman blocks.
Arial is what you got to go to if you're going to do something like that. Arial is curved enough that it's good. I mean,
kinda. Yeah, it still looks pretty formal.
doable.
I'm looking at it now. I hope the listeners at home have fonts open so they can.
Yeah, so you're all going to pull up your whatever you're listening to.
For the most part, you don't have to, but for this
I'll
5
splice
second
it in.
segment, splice in pictures into the audio.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, you don't have the VR experience. What are you guys doing? You better go to our site and click on the paywall. If you subscribe to us on Patreon, you can get the VR experience.
BigGuy4U.vr is the URL.
It's Tom and me sitting on a couch, and it seems like you're sitting in the middle of us. as we whisper into your ear. It's like an ASMR.
Visual ASMR.
That would be the worst VR experience in the world.
That was a Sam Hyde thing. Have you ever seen that one? Visual ASMR. He like rubs his finger on like the camera.
Oh yeah, he's like, this is turning you guys on a lot, isn't it? Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Yeah.
Shout outs to Sam Hyde, our #1 fan.
Exactly, and
it's actually mutual too.
Speaking of our mutual love for journalists, I actually did some investigative journalism. And I think it actually qualifies me to be more qualified than anybody who's writing for CNN or this article that I found from Huffington Post, talking about it's basically in defense of Comic Sans. So we can basically do away with all of his defense for Comic Sans because they're garbage and there is no defense for it.
You've convinced me. That Huffington Post article rather has convinced me. Before I was pretty agnostic, if not counter signaling against the anti-Comic Sans.
Right, because you want to be contrarian. Yeah.
Well, no, because it's not that terrible. Like, I played Game Boy Color for years and it was right there staring at me in the face and I had no problem with it. But now, hearing that a Huffington Post guy is defending it, I don't know.
Exactly. So it's like Comic Sans. So I actually researched this a little bit. I was like, where did it come from? Where did this blight on our world come from? And it was designed to be like a comic book. It was they had Microsoft Paperclip. Well, before the Paperclip, or maybe around the same time, there was a dog figure, and he would be like, "Woof woof, do you need help with your suicide note?" And it'd be like, "Oh, well, he's talking in Times New Roman. Dogs don't talk in Times New Roman." This is exactly what the PR people said for that. And he's like, "So we designed a Comic Sans, kind of like a comic book, hence the word Comic Sans." And then it's like they described it as playful, friendly, and informal aspect, which is just buzzword vomit. Like, oh.
Do you know what the sans means?
No. It does have to do with like the things on the T and stuff. What is it?
Yeah, I think so. So I'm like 90% sure that it means sans serif. And serif is like, the fancy bells and whistles on letters.
Yeah,
like
so it has like the Roman, like, you know what I mean? I don't know what they're called. We should probably have researched this, but it's like...
I didn't think we were going to get into esoteric font posting, so I didn't research this.
Well, Well, you got to be prepared to when you tune into this week's autism cast. You got to be prepared. You don't know where it's gonna go. We live a rough and tumble lifestyle where you don't know if we're gonna bring up kerning next. Maybe, I don't know, but we'll see. Actually, I don't really have.
That doesn't play much of a role from my experience.
Yeah, and I don't have. I'm not one of those. I can notice kerning, but it really doesn't rub me the wrong way. But like Comic Sans does. But
So it was made for the dog, basically.
Basically,
by
yeah.
marketing
the
team.
paperclip. Yeah. I'm reading this Huffington Post article, and this is a little excerpt. His defense of Comic Sans. He says, designers often have the conversation about type and its uses with respect to whether those who drafted a piece of work chose the right typeface, and how that choice works with brands and colors. Some fonts are more ubiquitous than others, and easier to identify. When you spot the next Comic Sans, take a few moments to consider the possible reasons why it was chosen. And it's like, oh God, it's like, I know why exactly why it was chosen. Because it's the HR rep's passive-aggressive office note telling you that it's rude to eat the last donut when she's doing a speed run on life by dirty bulking bloat maxing her way to diabetes.
What is that, a copy pasta?
No, that's OC. That's stream of
you wrote that
consciousness.
down. No, you wrote that down. That was too high quality.
Well, I don't want to pull the curtain back, but it's like, it's ridiculous in the sense where it's like the fun little thing. They're like, oh, we're going to pop in Comic Sans and it'll be fun. But I'm quirky. I'm the fun HR manager. Like, like, it's just passive aggressive is what it is. And it drives me crazy. There's no
half
good
the time.
Yeah.
The other half, I imagine they genuinely think I'm the quirky one. This is such a fun font. Business can be fun too.
It's like, yeah, that's exactly the problem with it. It's like, yeah, business can be fun. Like, our office isn't the traditional 9 to 5. We work hard, but we play harder. Comic Sans. Like, that's the type of idiots that use Comic Sans. Dude.
But some people say, we don't play enough. Is that what you were referencing? Paradigm Shift 2070? He's like, we work hard, but we play hard. Or something like that.
Yeah, well, he's tapping into an even larger meme there.
No, I know.
Anybody who says that is immediately an idiot.
I don't play hard, man. I play like soft. Like,
I play lazily. It's just too much. My whole life is playing. Dude, speaking of playing games, okay, so nobody will believe me. Nobody will ever believe me. Driving on downtown here, there's an actual store in a strip mall. Like not like in a mall, but like you're just driving through. It's like a public shopping center. Maybe that doxes me too much.
Yeah,
because
we'll mute that out.
Yeah,
shopping center.
But there's a store. It's like some type of toy store or something, but it's in the RuneScape font. I don't
you need
just
to take
mean,
a picture.
And I don't just mean the letters are shaped like they would be in RuneScape. I mean that they have the stones. Yes.
What?
It's got the stones behind it, and it's like.
Why have you not taken a picture of this?
Dude, it's ridiculous. It's like it goes by really quick when I'm driving. I might drive downtown and just do a thing.
Yeah, you need to do that.
It blows my mind, like that they could do that.
Oh man, I really need to see that now.
It's crazy. Yeah, so I might take a trip. So when we clip out one of these little segments for the YouTube. If you're not listening to this on YouTube, go to the YouTube channel, Big Guy for You, and check out this clip. I'll put a picture for it if I go do it.
Tell me when you post it because I want to see it too. Wow, man.
And it's like speaking of bad font choices, this is just a roll now. So I've got all types of things to rant on. Like font is I do a bit of graphic design. Font is like one of the number one things that, I look for. I mean, and I can see the evolution of my own font choices where I used to think some font looked cool. Now I'm like, oh my God, that's an edgelord font. Or like, this is ridiculous.
Like
now
what,
I'm like,
it does have blood dripping from the letters or something. What's an edgelord font?
I mean, just something. Oh, like I don't even know how to describe it. Something that like it's
like
hard
you
to
would see on
describe.
Sonic OC, like
yeah, like something that's like, oh, this is a quirky font, or this is like 80s futurism font or something. And it's like now I just basically I use strong, bold, minimalistic font like for everything, and it's like all my thumbnails and things like that. Like the flight plan logo is in my favorite font. I don't remember what it's called. It's like Caliber.
Wingdings, right?
Wingdings, exactly. Yeah. I know Cambria is built into most. It's either Cambria or
Calibri.
Calibri, and it's
Yeah.
one of those two that is it's built into
very big.
every font thing, and it looks professional in almost every scenario. You should like go to that as like
Right.
your titles and things. Like it's so easy to do. Just do that. Make it look nice. Style. I saw this one time where style is not when you've really mastered style. You're not wearing a purple suit. You're not out there crazy. You're wearing everything normal and respectable, but like real fashion is like just slightly off. It's like slightly
Sure.
unique. If you go full blown unique trench coat fedora, you look like an idiot. But
Well, it's like the difference between the peacocking of the pickup artists and the subtle class of chads like us. I think that kind of captures that.
you know,
dichotomy
you
pretty
summed it
well.
up better than I ever could. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's the difference between. So it's like, I mean, you guys have class, but you know, I have swag. So there's a whole different like.
Whoa,
dynamic
hold
there.
on. You're saying swag is over class? Get
No,
outta
I was
here,
making
dude.
I was making a meme.
Swag is for boys, class is for men.
Yeah, that's why I put
My lady, I'm tipping my fedora.
fedora. Yeah, dip my fedora. I'll take a hit off my vape.
Dab.
Dab. You can't see it now, but I'm dabbing. Go to the YouTube channel. You can watch me dab. Not really, but
I honestly did dab. I
I'm
don't know if you did
T-posing
or
right
not.
now.
2 episodes in a row of T-posing.
Exactly.
It's pretty good. So I have a question though.
Yeah.
This is something that I've wondered about, and I haven't really read enough scanlations to get a feel of what the general zeitgeist is. So oftentimes, I never know what size to make my font. I try to kind of fit it to be as big as possible, but then sometimes it looks really crowded. So I'm starting to think that you need to have space in between the edge of your font shape, the outline maybe if you want, in between that and the edges of the speech bubble.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So yes, there should be. It's like the white space on a piece of paper. It's the margins. You do want
Yes.
a little bit and as uniformly as possible around the side. I know that's difficult because Japanese is written vertically and we read horizontally. So
Well,
it is a huge
even
difference,
their margins aren't even like that. Like they don't type in rectangles. Like some lines are like
Right.
2 characters long, and then right next to it's one that's like 10 characters long.
Right. So I think that's the big problem is that all the bubbles and different things are different sizes, and it's really up to it's almost down to the individual bubble what your font's got to be. I've seen both where they keep it a uniform font throughout the entire thing, even if the bubble's kind of bigger, and I've seen them where they change the font size just depending on the bubble or if like
I
someone's yelling.
I lean towards like having upwards of like 5 different sizes per page because sometimes you need to. And some
I'm
bubbles
thinking-
are so tiny that you have to size down.
I'm thinking 5 might even be too many. I would say
It
if
is.
you're gonna do, I would do 3. I would pick 3 sizes. Like you've got a smaller one for like when somebody's whispering or something, or maybe it's a lighter font if somebody's whispering, like it's a gray instead of a black.
Oh, okay.
Or
I don't
it's in
generally
italicized.
distinguish
Do you use
I-
like italicized or boldened or anything?
when. So yeah, I tend to stick to the original in that regard. So like when you never see like an individual word bolded. I mean, I'm sure it happens. I
I've
just
seen
don't
that.
see it. Well, I mean in the raw.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what it looked like in the raw, but you
Oh,
will
that's true.
oftentimes see them like with quotation marks. Sometimes that you could bold that, and I think that's a valid choice. But like if the whole sentence is in bold, I'll bold my whole like sentence or a bubble. In the case of names like ship names, for example, in Antarctica Girls, I had to talk about the name of the ship that they
Titanic.
take. Yeah, and in that I italicized the name of the ship, but everything else in that was like a normal non-italicized word.
Yeah, I could see that. I can also see like
Yeah.
I've seen like when people whispering, like they'll put it in italics, or when they cast a magic spell, or when they're like in incantering, or is that what it's called? Chanting? What it? Incantation?
Incantation is the noun. Yeah.
Is
so-
there a gerund of that? Incantation?
I bet it's something like cantering. Like I bet you take off
Yeah,
the
it's
N.
probably like that. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if there's a industry standard or anything. I think we've seen so many different things, and it's not like there's no guild of scanlators or anything like that. So there's no like
Well, not yet.
there's no rules of order in that regard. And I mean, this kind of segues into another thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, which is like troll scans, in the sense like that's where I've seen some really bad font choices. There's this one. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus except for these guys. I
Put
can't
them
remember.
on blasters, man.
I can't remember what their scan group is called, but I've run into their stuff a couple times where it's like it's like medieval scans or something where
This isn't that Norwegian one, is it?
No, that's Norway scans, and people hate on them, but their art. They're like, oh Norway or something like that.
Wait, what do you mean they say Norway?
Oh well, they'll add in like shoot instead of they'll say like.
Norway is like a swear.
Yeah, or they'll be like, "Oh no!" If somebody says "Oh no" in the manga, they'll be like, "Oh Norway!" Like,
that's beautiful.
I know, it's really, people hate on it, but I really like it. And then another thing was like, it's like, "Oh, that'll be 1,500 yen," and then the translator note will be 0 yen equals 0 Norwegian kroner, and I lost it. It was so hilarious. It's like, because that's not helpful. We all know why that's funny. But this old English group translates everything to be like "ye thou'st verily," which is funny.
All the dialogue.
Yeah, the entire chapter. Okay, it's mostly like one-off dojins or something like that. They're not going to They're not going to invest an entire series in that. But it's like, that's a funny joke. I could get into that. Yeah. Everybody's seen the translation "Who would frost a cake with their butt" type thing. It's funny.
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's old school.
You lost me.
But it's like, the problem with the old English scans is like they use a font that looks like some kind of like old Futhark runes, where it's like huge embroidered. When SpongeBob writes "the" in his essay, it's like every word is like that, and it's like, or every letter is like that, and it's like, I can't read that. It's too much effort to read. It's like your joke lands flat on me because I don't want to sit there and like read this whole thing. It's like, I just want to see cute anime girls. Like, I don't need this.
Well, I've got a cool piece of trivia that's only barely related.
What's that?
Actually, it's kind of related to Futhark, because you know how that has like the TH, like like Icelandic or whatever does. Ye on signs, like ye old.
Ye.
That ye was like a thorn or whatever that letter's called. So it's the. I don't know what you're doing.
The meme.
What?
Ye.
Oh, ye. But yeah, anyway, ye used to be pronounced the, but the letter that they used was written the same way that we write the current Y. The more you know.
I think I heard that before one time. Is that from the Etymological Con?
Could have been, but I feel like I knew that beforehand. That's a good book for all you guys out there who like grammar and nerd stuff and etymology. Etymologicon. 10 hours of that kind of thing that I just did.
Like trivia type stuff about like the history of words. It's pretty cool. I've got it on my computer's desktop. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I'm like reading like 3 different books at once.
Oh, so you don't read any books. That's my secret.
Yeah.
Let's see. I had a couple more things with text before we put that to rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Middle justify first of all.
Yeah.
If you're doing something like text, like if I'm like translating like a picture of an article, I do that left justified like normal.
Yeah, that's fair. There's some scenarios where you could use.
I was gonna say I should use what's it called where it's like even justified, where it's like,
oh yeah,
I don't have that. I just looked.
The fourth pillar.
But I would use that if I had that option on this paint.net. So yeah, middle justify. Something that I really don't like is like when you have text that's like curved around an object. I know in Photoshop, can't you just like kind of draw a line and then say like type on this line?
Yeah.
Like how did you do our logo? Didn't you have to do something like that where you can like curve?
They have
text?
they have like a right on a circle, but I had to draw a circle. It was based on a curve, but it might be different. I'm sure there's a way to draw like on a wave or something like that.
Well, I don't think there's anything like that on paint.net. So whenever I have to do that, I have to do each letter and rotate it by hand.
That's no fun.
If it's a long thing, if it's like one word, I'll do it that way. If it's like a long sentence, I just do like each word.
You'll just do a plain white background with MS Paint and just slather it over.
I actually white out the entire page. And I
It's like
draw stick
it-
figures.
No, you're right. This page was intentionally left blank.
That's something you should do in like a troll scan kind of group, like just
In the middle.
the hearts.
Yeah.
This page intentionally left blank. That was a 2-page spread, wasn't it?
Oh my god. I don't even remember. I
From
don't
Bleach.
think it was 2 pages. There's no way. There's no way he could pull that off. It was already audacious enough to do a full page.
Yeah.
It's like he was like hung over one day. He's like, this has got a ship.
I only have 1 page left.
The heart.
Also, heart sounds kind of like hand, which is handwritten, which is the next thing I want to talk about real quick.
Oh, nice.
You'll see that often where like text is handwritten, and not just like sound effects and stuff, but I mean like even like in a dialogue box. Those, I don't know how to handle those, to be honest. Most of the time, in fact every time but once, I just do like maybe a different kind of font that looks more handwritten, or
Comic Sans, yeah.
I like to tilt my font a lot. Like if it looks handwritten, I kind of just tilt my normal font slightly off angle. It doesn't look handwritten, but it looks different. And I think that conveys a sense of differentness.
I mean, that's almost like italicized at that point, but that's an interesting way to go about it. I've never seen that before. That's an interesting thing.
Well, you probably have, because I know like some text bubbles are naturally angled, so you have to tilt it anyway. But
Now-
I mean, I don't read enough of like Japanese and English of the same manga to see like how other people do handwritten stuff.
Do you select like the whole paragraph and just like
Yeah.
rotate that?
Yeah, the whole entire speech bubble content, or the content of the whole bubble.
So it'll be like
all,
off like 5 degrees or so to the right or something.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to do that anyway just to fit the shape of the bubble.
That's interesting.
But I do that a lot with like handwritten stuff. Also, one time, I shouldn't admit this because it actually ended up looking okay. Otherwise, I would never have done this. But I wrote out stuff with my mouse. I wrote out the text. It was only one letter. It was a capital I, because it was like
that's
at
fine.
the start of a speech bubble. I know, but if it required any bit more than that, I would not have done it.
Yeah, no.
But
I
it
mean,
looked
nobody
okay.
could. Yeah, then that's fine. If nobody can tell, then you would never know.
I mean, you probably could tell, but it looked close enough to an actual plausible font, I think. Maybe not.
It
Maybe
needed
I'm
to
just
be like curved or something.
no, it was completely handwritten, like the original, and I typed the rest of the speech bubble. But it was one of those where it's like a tiny bubble connected to a bigger one,
Oh, okay, I see.
and like in the tiny one, it was like I, and then like dot dot dot, and then it's like maybe it was a stuttering or something, and it's like
Oh, yeah.
I blah 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 was the big one.
But baka, like it's like the they
Something
love
like
to
that.
stutter. Yeah. Now I know we talked about this in it was probably one of the first episodes, or maybe this was one of the prologue episodes. We talked about how some people very rarely decide to use colored font for like different characters. I know there's an anime.
Right.
I forget what it is. It's like it has something to do with color. It's like all the girls have different colored hair, and
Oh wow, really? An anime with every girl with different colored
I know.
hair?
And you, wow, and I bet the blue one has short hair and she's a little reserved and is kind of like a nerd.
Oh,
The red one's
okay.
kind of like a tsundere. Like there's a purple
Sure.
one that's kind of mixes in between. There's a green one too. I remember it was like, God, I remember
Was it
what
like a
the manga
harem or
looks like, but
something?
yeah, kinda. Yeah, it was like a magic. I think it was based on a magic school or something. So God, it was super original.
Was it Negima?
No, no, but that had all different hair colors too. But
That was a magic school, wasn't it?
yeah, it was a whole magic world. That was pretty interesting. That was one of the first long mangas that I read all the way. After Naruto and Bleach and Digimon, of course. But
I don't know anything about
for
Negima.
for the anime of that magic school one.
Yeah.
Each different colored girl had their subs in that color. And I've seen
Oh,
that
man.
sometimes before. I've even seen that.
It's a lot of work.
I don't remember if it was a full sub or just an OVA or something. But Konosuba had that where Megaman was red, Aqua was blue.
Really?
Yeah.
Must have been like an OVA.
I think it was, and I think it was like some kind of. I don't think it was a big subgroup. I think I just found like the first one I could get. But
Yeah.
I could also just be imagining it. I don't know. I'm gaslighting myself into thinking that it's a
Oh,
real
that could
thing.
be real.
But-
I've seen it where like in One Piece, I like how they do it where it's like the move name is like all stylized font, and it like appears as they say each thing. Or like a Kamehameha might do it where it's like Ka, and then like Ka appears on the screen, and then Mei, and then like Mei fades onto the screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
See,
That's a cool thing.
I know that we're not about like subbing, but that's an important
be.
thing because like if you watch like comedy on Netflix or something, and you put subtitles on, it ruins the cadence and punchline of the joke because you read it before you can get the thing. Like if you can time the subtitles with what's actually going on the screen, it's so much better, and it gets the pace down because we read a lot quicker than like we hear and things like that. Like we'll like that's why they always say don't write out your full presentation on your PowerPoint slides, because people will just read it quicker than you can say it. It's ridiculous. But
as another quick aside with subs, oftentimes like sentence structure in Japanese is like reversed basically from English, and like you'll be watching, or like I'll be watching an anime, and they'll say like the first half of the sentence, and I'm reading the other half of the sentence. This is mostly for examples where it's like there's a delay in between the first and the second half of the sentence. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll do like a dot, and then like a second later say the rest. So it's like you hear the second half of the sentence, and then you're reading the first half of the sentence. I don't know. It's a funny kind of like.
Yeah. Well, that's a rare thing because most people who watch the subs don't also speak the language.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I guess could be pretty confusing.
I'm a filthy casual though. I don't watch raw anime. It's easier anyway to watch subbed. Like I wouldn't even know where to find raw anime, to be honest.
And you can find it on
I don't download anime.
I know you're a plebe. Yeah. We're actually reversed. Don't you torrent manga and stream anime, whereas I
don't torrent
anime.
Manga. No,
I thought you used to. I thought you used to download it in big volumes.
Officially, I purchased manga. Unofficially,
right. Well, of course.
I downloaded it off Raw DD, which I mentioned in like the first episode. But actually, I have torrented like JoJo. I think I torrented JoJo unofficially. Like hypothetically speaking, if you're like a law enforcement agent, hypothetical.
If you're talking about if we want to talk about officially purchasing manga, if you're done with talking about that, we can move on to the manga minute, where
where's your theme song?
I'm still too lazy to make it, so it'll happen one of these episodes. You'll be like, what is this? What is this? I might replace it with police sirens, so when you're listening to this in your car while you're driving to work, you'll be like, oh my god, is somebody pulling me over?
Whoop whoop, it's the manga minute, pull over.
Whoop whoop, pull over, that ass is too fat. You've seen that.
I've never seen that show either. Yeah. I've watched one episode of it.
I've seen that actual show. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good because it's a cute little girl in it, and you're like, oh, I like Chunibyo. You like which one?
It's Chunibyo. That's in terms of not the show because I haven't seen it, but I like the trope, like Megumin. Yeah. She was the best girl.
I mean, is it voiced by the same person, or are they just basically the same character? One's with magic.
Chunibyo is the archetype.
Yeah, no, I know, but like
I don't know if they're
talking about. Yeah,
that's what also the name of the show. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do enjoy the archetype. I like both of those characters from the both aforementioned animes.
Right. And that was the anime minute.
Yeah, that was the anime minute. Actually, I have another thing, and this is a very controversial opinion. So the first time you watch Konosuba, and I've heard this is a very common thing to happen. The first time you watch Konosuba, it's Megumin for life. Ride or die. Watching it again the second time.
Hold on.
Watching it again the second time.
You better watch your mouth. You better be very careful.
It's still Megumin is still number one, but you appreciate Aqua more.
More than you did the first time?
Yeah.
I could
she's
see
not
that.
best girl, but she's definitely appreciated more. It's more like the bro role.
And I want to do an episode on like tropes and stuff, because this is one that I learned this like the other day, and I even told this to you. I was like, what do people use for this? And you're like, I've never even heard of that. I don't remember what it was, but it's kind of like
ditzy.
But it's more like completely useless. Like
useless,
almost bullying,
but in a moe
like you're
way.
Trash. Yeah, it's like moe, useless, trash, human, like waste. But it's moe.
Yeah, well, moe just means useless trash in my opinion, but
50-50, yeah. So yeah, I could see her appeal on that angle, definitely. But
Well,
I mean, it doesn't compare.
we actually segued right back in because this is kind of a moe show. This is of the genre for the Manga Minute. This is kind of falls into the category of cute girls doing cute things, which is a favorite genre of the listeners. I'm not a huge
patricians
fan
worldwide.
of the genre. You know, I'm not a
patricians worldwide.
I don't know. Like, did you watch K-On? Did you like that?
A couple episodes.
I watched.
No, because it doesn't get good for like the first season. I heard.
I watched like season 1 and like half of season 2, and the whole time I was like, so when do they get to playing music? And it's like they play
music in like episode 1.
Yeah, but then like that's it, and then they just eat cake, and they're like, you ate my strawberry. Like that's what it's just. It's like I can't self-insert. Anyway, the manga we're talking about today is Kaju no Shiku-in. Or however you would want to pronounce that. I'm not one of them filthy weebs, so I don't know.
That's close enough.
It's close enough. Yeah, so basically, do you want to describe
the translation would be something like Monster Tamer Girls. I'm reading this off mangaupdates.com.
Excellent.
Monster Tamer Girls or Monster Raising Committee Members, which is a more literal translation.
Probably a more accurate thing of what it is. So this is it's basically a school, right, that they're in, and they join the Monster Taken Care of Club. It's a thing in like Japanese schools. Maybe you've seen it before. Ghost Stories dub is one of the famous ones where they showed them raising animals, a little rabbit in the back. But instead of raising like little rabbits or hamsters or something, in this manga they're raising like monsters, and I'm talking
kaiju.
Like dragons or Godzillas or things like that.
Yeah, I mean, kaiju I think is basically like Godzilla's in terms of like translation wise. Basically, like, Godzilla is a kaiju, for example.
Now there's
it means like weird beast, I think.
Huh, that's interesting. Well, because this is like in the lore of Godzilla, and in this thing, like there's people like Mothra, there's other types of monsters.
Yeah.
So there's 7 chapters out now. I've read the first 5, and so far they have like a couple smaller monsters. Like there's the little frog monster that I liked. I thought he was pretty cool. He's a little tiny one, and then they go like. So it's like these little girls who are on the committee to take care of the monsters. So they got to feed them and walk them, and it's like for the Godzilla. They have a Godzilla-sized little hamster bottle with a little rolling ball in it. And it's like, wow, okay, Godzilla's gonna drink out of that. But he's not threatening at all. He's like a cute. He's basically looks like a Pokemon at this point, like a giant Kangaskhan or something, or a giant lizard thing. And it was pretty cute. And then they introduce some more little girls, and like one of them catches a little monster, and they're like, oh, you can't keep monsters as pets, so they go to release it, and then at the end of the chapter it's like, oh, you see the little frog monster, it's attached to the bus on the way back. They followed her home, like, so she's got the little monster frog pet. I liked that one. That was a good little one. Do you have any thoughts on the manga?
Overall, I will not be reading this further. It didn't really do much for me. It seemed kind of slow pacing. The characters were pretty uninteresting. It's generic blank slate cute girls. 2 of them kind of seemed like they had like some weird like lesbian overtones, and I'm not about that. That's not a Christian manga.
Well,
like
this is one of the big things. See, this is definitely a genre. This is the school life. This is the moe. This is the cute girls doing cute things. They want a little bit of Yuri in there because that's what people go crazy for.
Is that normal?
Well, I think it goes back to
me,
like.
I didn't think so.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get so much flack for this. What's
Evangelion?
No, it's around the same time. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot this.
Give me a hint, because I've never seen it. I guarantee you anyway, so it's okay. I'll share your flack.
The original like schoolgirl. See, I'm only like this because we're recording. I would know it if
Haruhi.
No, same time. You've got the pink-haired, 2 purple hairs, they're sisters, and the famous blue-haired.
Oh, Lucky Star.
Lucky Staru. But yes, yeah. I
also never seen it. I think I saw the first 5 minutes.
I watched that.
Where they eat an eclair.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Japanese cornetto. It's like reverse.
Whatever it was.
But it's like it goes back to that where they kind of had a little bit of Yuri thing going there. In fact,
did they?
There's like a famous
I think
fan
sequel.
sequel.
Actually does too.
Yeah, they all do. It's like a staple in it. Like it really is because it's like it crosses Venn diagrams to a point where it's like
a marketing check mark.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. And this
I guess
is one
I've
of those
never read
things.
anything in the genre enough.
Yeah, I tend to stay away from it. Like you said, it's a little bland for us. You like probably more action things, and I like more rom-com.
Or plot.
Yeah, and there's none of
Like
that
real
in
plot.
there for
Real
either
plot.
of us to really grab us. Yeah, not plot, capital letters.
Yeah.
In fact, we all know DFC is better than plot, but we can get into that later. That can be a whole episode on its own.
It'll be a blood sports episode.
Oh, yeah,
where we
this will be brutal.
that our traps gay. I'm sure we could come up with 3 more topics.
Our Traps Gay is going to have to be an ongoing series of
It's a
5-hour
10-part series.
debates where we bring in the most
Top
illustrious,
experts.
illustrious experts from all around the field. I mean, even outside of anime.
Can you name one expert?
We're gonna have to bring in like Stephen Molyneux. Like we're gonna have to bring him in to
Stefan?
yeah.
I'd rather get Jean-Francois Garepi.
Well, we're definitely
get
gonna have to
him.
get him too. We'll have to get Andy Worski as the leader of the Trapno State.
Oh, you're right. He's an expert.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to bring in everybody. We're gonna have to bring in Sam Hyde. We're gonna have to get in Enoch. We're gonna have to get the entire crew. And it's not a
Controversial
debate.
picks.
It's not a debate. It's gonna be a round table discussion. It's gonna be like that picture of the UN where it's like people discussing Traps Gay. It's gonna be the end all. I mean, we're gonna need some like government officials to come in and
easily
weigh on it. Like this is gonna be major policy shift in the entire. Basically, it's the fate of the free world at this point.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna have this at the same time that the North Korean talks are going on, and like Trump and Kim are just gonna be like, "Look, this is stupid. There
Yeah.
are bigger issues
Well,
at hand right now."
They're well, you don't understand this. This is actually a really red pilled thing. You're not going to know about this. This is actually Illuminati level. I'm one of them, so I'm giving you a little bit
Esoteric
of hit.
trivia.
The reason why we're having the North Korean deal peace talks go on right now is because we need the North Koreans to weigh in on this debate. We need their
Right.
help to solve the greater problem. You know, and like it's a
All
trope.
hands on deck.
It's a trope where the villains team up to fight the big bad guy at the end. This is
I
what's
love that
happening
trope.
now. This is it. We're all coming together to really fight the questions that are most important to us.
And then humanity will enter the most golden age in all of history, and it will never leave the golden age.
I mean, Alex Jones was talking about the future, and he wasn't just explaining the plot of Evangelion. He was explaining what's going to happen to us when we finally decide if traps are gay or not.
I remember actually, he's a pretty staunch traps are gay kind of guy. You know his famous rant. They're putting traps in the anime, turn the freaking weebs gay. So I think we all know where he stands on that. True or not, we'll find out.
We will find out. So you are all able to look forward to a very exciting conclusion to that question in the future. That's when we get more subscribers. So if you want to hear that in the future, make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us, subscribe to us on the RSS feed. Drop us a line at gab.whatever.
AI/big guy numeral 4 letter U.
Now, did you ever get the Twitter set up?
The Twitter I set up like on day 1. I probably should move to it because people are on Twitter.
Well, we can use both.
I just
like
don't
I like the
trust
idea
Twitter.
of Gab. Yeah, I don't like them either.
I think what we might end up doing is like the Gab is just kind of like a repository for like links to stuff like uploads and such, and then maybe the Twitter could be for like fan outreach because it's easy. People have Twitter, so they would rather contact on that.
Let's also get an add-on that mirrors whatever we post on Gab to Twitter. I'm pretty sure those exist. Let's do that.
Possibly. If you stall for 10 seconds, I'll look up the Twitter handle.
No, that's fine. We can go on to other sites that I hate, which is YouTube. You can find us at Big Guy for You, and that's all one word. Or you can Google the Flight
Is
Plan
that
podcast.
numeral 4 letter U?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Numeral 4 letter U. There are actually 3 people with that username. We're the one that has a cool looking logo. But we all basically have the same amount of subscribers, all around 10 subscribers. So that should be fine.
That's nice. Who will be the biggest guy?
Yeah,
Help us
it'll be
find
us
out.
at the end. Yeah, so if you want us to be the biggest guy, vote for us by subscribing to the YouTube channel. You can also find us on SoundCloud / Big Guy for You, or you can look for The Flight Plan.
Yeah.
You can also find us on Anchor.fm / The Flight Plan, and in between those words is a hyphen.
If
Those are
you're
all
like
the
me, if you're like me and you use Podcast Addict, it's an app for Android, probably iOS. You can use the search, and we pop up there somehow. I think that's Anchor FM. Maybe?
Yeah, so we do have an RSS feed that you can find on the Anchor site, or you can just
Nice.
search for it. Yeah, I don't believe you can find it through the iTunes search if you have that, but if you disable that and you just search broadly on your podcast app, you can find it. Just search for The Flight Plan, and you'll see our beautifully designed logo.
It's excellent.
It's the best. So
Master class.
So I think if we're all done talking about typesetting, it's time to type out the flight plan where we crash this plane.
Are you gonna get this even more wrong increasingly every episode?
I think that's part of the meme. That's part of the zeitgeist now.
Well, I wanted to, before we crash this plane, I did want to have one quick little plug. Next week will be a special episode, a very special episode of the flight plan. It'll be a secret topic.
Oh.
But it's going to coincide with other special stuff that's happening next weekend.
Oh man, you guys better be super excited. I'm pumped for this episode, and you don't want to miss it. So if you're watching this, send this to all your friends. Get you all hyped up. I know people are already planning to have listen parties when this goes to air. I know it'll probably be live streamed on I know YouTube for sure and Twitch. I heard even Fox News and CNN are coming together for a joint broadcast of listening to our podcast, because this will be monumental.
Very special.
Make sure you send the links around.
All right, you've hyped it up a bit too much, I think.
No such thing.
It'll be all right. And then after that, we'll probably maybe do translation. That might be like a long episode, maybe even 2. I don't know. We'll see. That's so long away that
we'll see.
Things can change.
Well,
but until then, are you ready to crash this plane with no survivors?
With
for this podcast.
Yeah. Well, we actually record in a plane, so that's fine.
That's true.
You hear the plane noises in the background.